Hey everyone, welcome to Clickheads. I'm Eddie the Chump, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Killjoy release trailer, diving into a Gamestar article that explains how our kit works, as well as giving our 2 cents on the damageability discussion going on in the community right now. This is very exciting, so let's just jump straight in. This trailer differs from the footage that was leaked a few days ago in that it shows the utility being used with much more context and gives us a good idea of what she actually looks like. As with all hype videos, her kit looks great in this trailer, with some common use cases getting special attention. The Gamestar article does provide some key info, however, so we'll get to that in a moment. For now though, what do I think of Killjoy? I have to say, I'm a big fan of her visual design. I think it's unique and fits into the rest of the game world. I especially like her yellow bomber jacket and the highlights of purple. Now, a lot of you will be way too young for this reference to even work, but there's something very grunge era Seattle about Killjoy. The pumps, the hair, glasses and beanie combo, it just reminds me of some fashions of the Nirvana, Pearl Jam and Soundgarden era from the early to mid 90s, but updated for Valorant's aesthetic. I think she looks great and I can't wait to play her. Let's jump straight into that Gamestar article to break down her kit and gain a bit of a clearer perspective. Alarm bot. You can place the little bot anywhere on the map. There he then waits for enemies passing by and rushes at them. But instead of doing a lot of damage like Raze's boombot, it helps you debuff your opponents so you can get them done easier. The alarm bot does not do much damage itself, but rather serves as a reconnaissance ability and debuff. It is therefore similar to Cypher's tripwire. In contrast to Cypher's wire, the alarm bot cannot be placed on walls. You can buy a bot for 200 credits per round. If you take a closer look at the alarm bot and Raze's boombot, you may recognize the one or the other similarity. This is because Raze stole and modified one of Killjoy's alarm bots for herself, as developer Zach Belter tells us in an interview. So her alarm bot, just like the article notes, puts her in competition with Cypher a lot more than, say, Raze in terms of utility, which will inform our discussion later about abilities that actually do direct damage. One thing that ability videos can do when the community first sees them is make them look way more impactful than they might typically play out in a game. We already have abilities that make you more vulnerable, like Viper's snakebite in the game, so this isn't that controversial for me at least. Killjoy's turret works much like Torbjorn's gun from Overwatch. You can put it anywhere and it will start shooting enemies as soon as they come in sight. According to the developers, the turret starts shooting in 3 volleys after 0.75 seconds. You get 8 damage per ball if you are closer to the tower. From 20 meters there are only 6 damage points, and from 35 meters only 4 damage per ball. With its 125 life points, the tower can be shot very quickly, so that attackers cannot switch it off too late. The turret is Killjoy's signature ability, so you can count on your tower every turn. The tower and the alarm bot can both be resumed after their placement. You don't have to stand directly at the objects. Forgive some of the wording, this page has been translated from German into English. Right, so I don't think I'm wrong in saying when people first heard of a turret that shoots for you being in Valorant, a lot of people were worried. But I look at these damage numbers and I'm instantly reassured. These damage numbers are very, very low. Even at close range, 1 volley, if every ball hits you, will do 24 damage. That is borderline chip damage, and after the first volley, with only 125 life points, the turret is very likely to be destroyed by the player it's shooting or one of their teammates. So to actually be useful, it's going to have to be a distraction for your own damage with a weapon. You're going to have to place it where you or your teammates can take advantage of enemies destroying it. Lots of utility works like this in the game already. Reyna's Leer, Raze's bot, and more. To me, it's going to be pretty difficult to get kills with, as that truly isn't what it's actually designed for. The Nano Swarm, however, is slightly different. Let's move on. The Nano Swarm is a small grenade or trap that you can put on the floor. It deals a lot of damage, but you have to activate it yourself. Once placed on the floor, it becomes invisible to the enemy. So essentially a Cypher trap that works like a molly. Again, when you look at the clip of Sova just standing in it and dying very quickly, it's understandable to be like, whoa, that does a lot of damage. But the fact that you have to activate it means that its placement and your timing have to be perfect. I can see some nasty places for it in my mind, default bomb plants on defense for example, and also post plant as an attacker just like Brim, but otherwise it's actually harder to use than Brim's molly, which you can use somewhat reactively. If you were to stand in Brim's molly and film it just like the Sova clip, you die just as quickly as Nano Swarm. I don't think it's unreasonable. So let's move on and talk about Lockdown. Lockdown is Killjoy's ultimate skill and it costs 7 ultimate points, so it takes a while for the skill to be operational, but once you've successfully deployed them, item, they'll debuff your opponents within a certain radius, preventing enemies from using weapons or skills for a while. The developers explained to us, this is by far the most punishing debuff in the game, but we believe that players will rarely get hit by the debuff once they get used to it. Once lockdown is used, it takes 13 seconds to detonate and release the debuff so that players have the opportunity to get out of the field. Killjoy must also be careful that she places the lockdown ability in a safe place. After all, the lockdown device with just 150 life points can be quickly destroyed by enemies. Now, when I take all that info in and I watch the video of how long it takes to activate, I'm not sat here thinking, wow, that's just too good. Even the devs think people will rarely get hit by it. And it costs 7 points. That is very expensive for something that with enough experience has way more outplay options than most other ults of the same cost. I'm framing discussion of her kit like this because of the larger debate about direct damage abilities in a game like Valorant, which is everywhere at the moment. I'd just like to play you this clip from Hiko, where to be fair, he's reacting to the leaked ability video without the added context of what we know now.
If this is the route that Riot wants to go with this game, then I can't see a world where they don't make some kind of a shield agent. Because if there's going to be turrets and there's going to be a bit like if there's agents that do ability damage and they've already went back on what they said as far as abilities not being able to kill people, if this game is going to turn into Overwatch, there's going to need to be shields. Like, I hate to say it, but I don't know how they can make this game and continue to make agents have abilities that do direct damage and not have some kind of counter to the direct damage. I mean, people are saying smokes and flashes break are counters to it, but I actually kind of feel like if they keep doing this, if they keep making agents that have abilities to do damage, they have to have more of a counter. They have to. So realistically, in my brain, in my mind, the only thing I can think of is having some kind of a tank agent and something that can actually tank more damage or, you know, suck up the damaging abilities or counter the damaging abilities in some way. Whether that means we need more healers, whether that means we need tanks that actually have shields or some way to actually counter all this stuff, I don't know. But I promise you, if they keep making damaging abilities and damaging agents, then there's going to need more healers, and they will make more healers. I promise you, if they're already making more abilities or more agents that do damage, they're definitely thinking about making more healers. They're probably already thinking about making tanks. Like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what else they can really do. I don't.
So Hiko's thoughts about damage abilities possibly taking over the game and the need for more healing or perhaps even shields if this continues, a la games like Overwatch, is kind of a hot take. I respect his opinion a lot, but I truly don't think this is where the game is headed. I think it's quite clear when looking at Killjoy and really internalizing how her kit works that she's much more in competition with an agent like Cypher than being another Raze 2.0 coming to annoy everyone with damage spam. As I said, videos that show abilities off kind of make things look as good as possible, but with the extra context of the article, it's my belief Killjoy is actually going to be pretty difficult to optimize. The reason being, if you look at the top level of the game, there's core utility that you need in your team comp just to get anything done. Smokes, line of sight denial, flashes, recon, etc. And a lot of the meta comps have 3 positions taken up by, say, agents like Omen, Sova, and an entry character with said flashes. That leaves 2 spots. Cypher is picked 100% of the time currently, with Sage picked nearly every game, being swapped out for a second controller maybe on certain maps. Where can Killjoy fit in there? 2 of her abilities, the turret and alarm bot, are redeployable, and a nano swarm could be used in combo with things like Sage slows for some really nasty trap setups, but essentially she's in competition with Cypher. Is her kit strong enough to dislodge him? I'm not so sure. I mean, in ranked, they'll be played together. She'll be everywhere for at least a month after she's out. But she's not an agent with 3 win buttons, even if some of the abilities do direct damage. But it's really about the threat of damage with her. The turret's damage is frankly very low, as I've already said. Yes, you will die to it if you're low or not used to where it can be placed, but that window where nobody knows how to play against her will be quite short. It's not as if Torbjorn dominates Overwatch and his turret is way better than hers. It's an apples and oranges comparison for sure, but the point still stands. Very Various community figures have been discussing all this, and it really comes down to what Riot's CEO Nicolo tweeted ages ago about abilities not replacing gunplay. You don't kill with abilities. Now, if you watch Morello's streams, you'll know that this statement has come back to haunt Riot, as it's evidently not true. Raze does get kills with their abilities as just one example. But the spirit of what that actually means is, if I can paraphrase, abilities won't replace gunplay, which I do think is true of Killjoy. Raze can do that, and does farm especially at lower levels, which is why she's still getting nerfed. Morello actually responded to various people about this issue on Twitter. Now, this thread went on for a while, but I'll read some choice parts for you now. Abilities doing damage are about generating threat or pressure. Killing is what happened when you can't, getting checkmate by overwhelming odds, or won't, fail to make the right decision, deal with the ability. Other cases, we use these to create angle or area control. He continues, Raze Grenade makes you move from an area into bad positions. Boombot has a lot of choices, shoot, hide, run, hold. Since these moves can often lead to unfavourable fights that lead to death, damage must be the punishment or you don't respect its footprint. And just as a specific reference to Killjoy, he said this when someone mentioned Nanoswarm's use for defending bomb plants or diffuses like I did earlier. This has a counter not available to mollies, but mum's the word until the full reveal. Now, I'd like to theorise that you can shoot the grenade if you know where it is, even if you can't see it, like other trap utilities such as ciphers, which you obviously can't do to any molly in the game, but we'll have to wait to see if that's the case. If it is, then I'm even less convinced Killjoy will impact the game in some of the ways a lot of players fear. In any case, even if she is by some miracle way too good, Riot have shown a real willingness to nerf utility that's out of control. Just ask Raze, Sage, and Cypher. Just because an ability can do damage to you directly does not mean it will in most use cases. I have to be honest, I'll take some convincing that Killjoy has a place in the meta below a certain level. She might be really annoying to play against and she might rise in power the lower down the ranks you go, but that is a better scenario than trying to balance agents to be good everywhere in all situations. That's how you get Overwatch levels of power creep, and that I think is what people are actually afraid of. It's what we're acutely aware of, having covered that game for years before coming to Valorant, but I don't think that's how Riot want their game to work out. And just like I've previously stated, things that are out of line do tend to get nerfed. As with all these community discussions, I'd be fascinated to hear what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below. And that's about it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like the content on this channel, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you get notified when we upload. Also, please check out our Facebook stream. We are no lifing Valorant over there, and it would be great to see some of you in the chat. Until next time.